You're tuning into Black and White Sports on YouTube. The no-holds-barred truth on sports. The main event starts.
All right, Black and White Sports supporters. Well, I could talk about last night's game. Nah. How about new? How about new? We're not going to do that, right? We might do the post-game Stephanie White, all her bullshit. We might do that in the next video. It's always because looking at the fan responses, I mean, that's pretty fun because Indiana Fever at this point are getting absolutely sauteed. I mean, you're getting cooked in a wok right now. All right, cooked in a wok. You're getting grilled like it's the 4th of July still. We got a couple of things, guys. We got Stephanie White getting asked about the Congress situation. And look, I've noticed some fans saying, oh, well, we don't want Congress involved because this is just going to hurt Caitlin. Well, you better hope somebody gets involved because the league don't give a fuck and neither does her team. And I question that her agent gives a shit either because she's part of that little group. So you better hope somebody gets involved regardless of your political affiliations, hurting your little feelings. Well, the players are just going to go after her more. Well, guys, you're cruising towards having an actual incident on the court that's going to be ugly. Uglier than anything we've gotten so far. Eventually, one of these players, Caitlin Clark's going to bump into them, driving through the lane, something. You're going to look up, and one of these players are going to drop 4 or 5 punches right in her face. And it is going to be a nightmare. All hell's going to break loose. And at the end of the day, the WNBA is an employment organization. We don't think about that a lot because when we watch sports, we don't think about the employer side of things. But they still are a business. And in America, you should be able to work said business without getting the shit beat out of you. It's a thing. So let's start here. My boy Johnny Root went to this Phoenix Mercury game last night. I'm sorry, man. So he was in the crowd. We've got a Alyssa Thomas supporter. We love Alyssa Thomas. Did you dye your hair there, Karen? Inquiring minds want to know. Wow. So, Johnny Root hit the street. My boy does stuff for Outkick. And occasionally I talk to John either on the phone or on X. But we were talking about doing a live stream together. And we may still do that at some point. But he was the man on the scene outside of the arena. And he caught hold of a Caitlin Clark fan. And she kept it real.
What do you think about the whole situation? Caitlin Clark getting punched in the throat, the suspension, media backlash?
It's got to stop. It is deliberate. It's intentional. She's wearing a target on her back. She's not gay. She's not black.
So you'd say 100% there is a racial element behind this and there's a sexuality aspect to this because she's white, straight, and from rural America.
She's the golden goose of the WNBA, and people are jealous.
What do you think about the whole situation? Caitlin Clark?
She is kept it real. She's not black. She's not lesbian. Yeah, I mean, there you go. That's why she's getting the shit kicked out of her on the court. Let's just be honest. Stephanie White talking about Congress.
Coach, several members of Congress sent a letter this week to Commissioner Engelbert. They said they're concerned about what they called physical hostility and violence toward her. One line in particular said, quote, concerning reports suggest that many of these attacks against Caitlin Clark may be racially motivated. What's your reaction to that?
Our team made a statement yesterday, so you can find that statement.
No, I understand that. I just mean as a coach, when you hear one of your players is being mentioned in a letter from members of Congress to the commissioner of the league, how do you handle that?
Again, that's not something we can control. We're not affiliated with those groups, and we try to keep the main thing, and focus on the things that we can control.
Well, you can't control what happens on your courts. and the punishments you lay down to players when they do acts like they did to Caitlin Clark, y'all are choosing to not control the narrative any longer. That's on the league. That's on the Indiana Fever. That's on Stephanie White. It was their choice. I told you guys when I made the Congress video, the moment that they handed one game to Alyssa Thomas, I said, oh shit, the government's about to get involved over safety. Because it made the league look like, okay, we're just not serious about this. We're not serious. They should have treated it as a one-off situation and hammered Alyssa Thomas into the ground with a suspension. So, Congressman, I've got Mark Alford of Missouri. I've got Zach Nunn of Iowa. Let me play both of them.
Protecting the integrity of the WNBA, protecting Caitlin Clark. Look, she is a big woman. She doesn't need our defense. I want to get that straight right now. That's why she has not come out in support of our letter. We didn't ask her about this letter. There is a problem festering within the WNBA, and this commissioner needs to look at it, because if it's racial discrimination, harassment, whatever, a fifth grader can see what's going on right now. And if the roles were reversed, let's be honest, Charles and Harvey, if the roles were reversed and it was an African-American woman on that floor and a group of white female basketball players doing what they're doing to her, there would be hell to pay.
If it was the other way around, holy shit. And they're not wrong. If it was the other way around and this was one of the other players, all hell would be breaking loose right now. And I'm talking about the players that are black, players that are lesbian. We're not dumb. We know. Zach Nunn, Iowa.
I think this is one of the wonderful things about Caitlin's entire career, from playing high school basketball right here in the heart of the heartland to what she's done with the University of Iowa. She has broken every NCAA Division I record in scoring for both men and women. And moving on to the Fever, she has nearly doubled the sales for what the WNBA have achieved. This is an incredibly historic, almost once-in-a-generation opportunity. But most importantly, I think that she's turned millions of fans onto what the WNBA can be, including, as you noted, my kids. My daughters love watching the Caitlin story, and they love seeing the other players and seeing the team come together. But they also, feel affronted as well when they watch a player like Caitlin get violently fouled repeatedly, when they see her gouged in the eye or punched in the throat. This isn't something that Americans should want or that the league should allow. And so this is one of the reasons that I and other members of Congress have stood up to call this out and really say, we want protection for our players. In the same way that the Fever's own coach has said the fouling has now become egregious. Caitlin herself has highlighted that the league has to change. And candidly, for every player's safety, we want to make sure that we're holding the commissioner accountable about performing better. We just can all be better. And so we've asked three basic questions. One, how are you dealing with violence on the court? Two, what are you doing to hold violence accountable? And three, how are you holding threats, both online and off the court, accountable to help protect our players? Look, the league has made billions of dollars off of Caitlin and others in the WNBA. They've done a great job franchising her. They've done a pretty poor job protecting her and other players. In this alone, we have seen Caitlin have 5 hard fouls called after the fact, 3 of those after the game was already over. This has got to change, and the league needs to do better.
Again, the WNBA, the Fever, everybody involved here, Kathy Engelbert, could have avoided this if they would have if you'd have thrown a message, this was the opportunity. You've had all these incidents, should have done it when the Dejanay Carrington poked her in the eye and all this Angel Reese clotheslined her, Diamond DeShields speared her like she's fucking Ed Reed in an NFL game last year. If you'd have sent a 10-game suspension and a real fine at any of these players, I guarantee you, 10 games and a $50,000 fine on Alyssa Thomas, and let the PA piss and moan all day long. You're the commissioner. You've got strength. Use it. You've chose not to use it because you're scared of the backlash, and that's what it is. She's scared of the back. She's as scared of these other players and these women as anybody. The commissioner. I'm telling you right now. That's why she hadn't done anything. She doesn't want to feel the backlash because she's already been called out. And now if she steps in and has to, if this was Roger Goodell, I give him credit for one thing. I've told this story before. When Deshaun Watson was coming back off of all those lawsuits, and somebody with the league gave him a 6-game suspension, Goodell stepped in and said, no, I'm suspending him for the season. He overrid the whole thing. Now, they got arbitrated down to 11 games, but regardless, that 6-game suspension wasn't enough. So Goodell stepped in, and Deshaun Watson got an additional 5-game suspension. He was out 11 games. There's a hell of a lot less NFL games than there is WNBA games. Kathy Engelbert chose to look the other way. Standard operating procedure. One game suspension. As soon as that happened, I was like, yep. Government's getting involved now. Because you've got no teeth. You've got no teeth. You won't protect your employees. So, tell me what you think. Peace. I'm out. Till next time.
Thanks for watching the show. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Be sure to tune in next time on Black and White Sports.